Hey everybody, how's it going? SQ2000 here. I wanted to do a review slash test, actually, an analysis of a particular product. Um, this Biolite Powerlight, right? Now, I'll be honest, actually a big fan of Biolite, the company. Um, I just recently got their new camp stove too. I have like the big base camp. I probably have half a dozen of the Powerlight minis, small little lights that can charge things. So, I like their company. But that doesn't necessarily mean that all of their products are 100%. And the one that's kind of been irking me is this Powerlight. Right? And the idea is that it's kind of a lantern, flashlight, uh, power pack, if you need it to be. And part of the reason that I've been a little bit skeptical of this product is when I first bought one, I bought one with the sight lights and everything, little dingleberries that come out and hook up, and you can actually daisy chain them all together and have a bunch of lighting around your campsite. That's a little bit gimmicky for me, but I still like the idea of being able to charge a phone, what have you. Um, Now, the problem is when I first got it, I tried to pull out the power light, tried to turn it on, didn't work. Right? Nothing happened. So I figured, okay, well, I need to charge it. Charged it for overnight, and didn't work the next morning. So, right off the bat, I had kind of a bad experience with it. Um, so I took it back. I think I bought it from Cabela's or something like that. And so I took it back, didn't think anything of it. And not too long ago, my wife was going to go off on a camping trip with a couple other folks, and she wanted to be able to charge her phone over the weekend. And I thought that's perfectly fine. I know Biolight's coming out with that new base lantern, which I'm actually on the list for, but it's not out yet. I think they're going to start shipping that in April, I think is what's going on. So immediately came back to this. I said, well, maybe the one that I ordered was a dud. Let's try ordering a new one and see if it works. Well, the new one came, and I just ordered this. I didn't order the sight lights or the little connected zoinks. So this came. It actually worked. When I first turned it on, so that was a plus. You charged it up, and then my wife took it. And then she said, she was able to charge her iPhone 5 from like 20% to about 98, 99%, and then the thing just stopped charging, right? And so I just thought it was possibly user error, um, and didn't think anything of it. Well, then the other day, I had this sitting in my backpack. It was fully charged. I thought I would go ahead and try to charge a Kindle, and then maybe try to charge. I have some wireless headphones that I wanted to add some juice to. And I got my Kindle most of the way charged, and the Kindle only has I think like a 1400 milliamp hour battery, and the headphones are like a 1000 something milliamp hour battery. And so according to Biolight, this has a 4,400 milliamp hour battery in it. It's really just two 18650 batteries. Um, So I'm guessing they're probably 2,200 milliamp hour 18650s. But regardless, so I should have had more than enough juice in this to charge a Kindle and my wireless headphones with a little bit to spare. And it didn't quite do it all. It kind of crapped out towards the end and didn't fully charge my wireless headphones. So that started to make me think. I'm getting a little skeptical about it. I'm wondering if it can actually do what is reported. Because you can have 18650s are actually really good battery cells if you get decent ones. That's the same battery cell that they used in the Tesla, and a lot of high-powered flashlights rely on 18650 batteries. But you can also get real shitty 18650 batteries. These ones that are made in China and just kind of cheap altogether, and they don't really hold the charge that they say. And sometimes they over-report their milliamp hourage. I've seen some that say like 6,000 milliamp hour 18650 batteries. Those are junk. The gold standard, I think, is the Panasonic protected cell 18650, and there's a very, very different milliamp hourage that you can get with them. But I'm kind of curious if Biolight is sort of underreporting what this thing can do. So I just wanted to do kind of a test, right? And this is kind of a useful test for anybody who's kind of curious about what kind of battery they have or what kind of storage capacity they have in a battery where they can't actually access the battery itself. If I could, I would just open this thing up and read what the batteries say, but I would probably end up damaging it, which I may end up damaging it anyway, just because I'm really curious as to what they put in there. But I wanted to devise a test to actually kind of estimate how much milliamp hourage, I don't even know if that's a word, sorry, is actually contained within the Powerlight, and if it actually can do what it's supposed to do. So what I've done is I charged up those two devices that I told you about, and then I ran the flashlight. So if I push the flashlight button, it doesn't turn on. If I push the lantern button, it doesn't turn on. I drained the crap out of the battery. Here you can see that if I push the button, all you get is the little blinking LED, which means there's enough juice in there to make that LED light up, but granted, probably not enough to do anything spectacular with. So I'm pretty convinced that the batteries in this are as good as dead as I can get. And so essentially what I want to do is I want to plug it in and determine if it has roughly 4,400 milliamp hours in that. So you have to use a little bit of basic math when you want to try to figure this out. So milliamp hours is essentially the capacity of a battery. I don't exactly remember what it's supposed to mean. Something like it can run X many milliamps for X amount of time. I don't know. I don't really care. But then you also have to charge it, right? And the nice thing about some of these things that are coming out these days is you actually have, this is your standard, you find them everywhere, iPhone charger, wall outlet. These actually have a reported amount of electricity that they deliver to certain devices. So these are rated at 1 amp. It's a very low power output. But knowing that you're getting 1 amp, which is 1,000 milliamps, and knowing that we need to fill that to 4,400 milliamps, you can actually do a little bit of math and figure out roughly how long it should take to charge this up, right? And if it's under that, then you know that the cells are potentially bad or they're not exactly what are reported. If it's over that, cool, and you get a little extra battery charge. So, to make it kind of simple in terms of math terms, if you're delivering 1,000 milliamps, and let's say that this had a battery of 1,000 milliamp hours, it should take approximately 1 hour to fill up the battery if it were 1,000 milliamp hours. So using that same logic, right, if this is 4,400 milliamp hours and you're still delivering that same 1 amp over 1,000 milliamps, it should take 4.4 hours roughly to charge this thing. Now, it's not an exact science because there are certain factors that change when you're charging a device. And the biggest factor is heat loss. So electricity can turn into heat, and that's essentially wasted energy. So it's just going into the environment, and it's not going into your battery cells, which is kind of a bummer. So I think the standard is to have a 10 to 20% wiggle room. So whatever 10% of 4,400, so I think it's 440. So add essentially that amount of time to the battery. So if everything is correct, I would expect that with maybe let's be liberal here and say that there's a 20% wiggle room, or there's a 20% efficiency loss. I'm expecting that it should take approximately 5.2 hours in order to charge this device completely. So when the blinking lights actually go all the way up to 4, it should be 100% charged. That should be about 5.2 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. It is currently 8:05, so I'll give kind of some periodic updates and let you guys know how it goes. Hey there, I'm back. I've been charging the Biolite Powerlight for about 2 hours now. So, and you can see if I can get the angle on correctly, two of the LED lights have illuminated, and one of them is blinking on the third. So to me, and again I could be incorrect here, but this sort of implies that it's at least 50% charged, which doesn't really make a ton of sense if I'm expecting this to go for about 5 hours or more. However, maybe it's not as bad as I think, because if I kind of recall back when Apple released the original iPod, they said that if you charge it for an hour, you can get up to 75% battery, and then it was like 4 hours to get the full 100% charge. So maybe something like that with this. Maybe we get a good majority of the charge in the first 50% of the charge time. I don't know. We'll see. So hopefully this will keep going for another 3 hours and won't fully charge, and then I'll feel a little bit more confident about the battery size in there. So I'll keep you posted. I got a quick mini update. It's now 10:30, just a little after 10:30, so almost 2.5 hours, so not very long after my previous video, but we've gotten another light fully illuminated, so we're on to the last bar, which again is a little bit scary considering that we're about 2.5 hours into this, and based on our calculation, we still have quite some time to go. So if it really is 75% full, then that could suggest that maybe the batteries are underreported, or maybe there's a damage in the cell. In which case, I'm going to talk to Biolight and refer them to this video and see if maybe I can't get it repaired. But if it keeps going for the next bit of time, then I guess I'll be a little bit more confident. I guess one quick thing I can do also, just to do kind of the review portion of this. I told this is a review kind of test. Again, this is the Biolite Powerlight. So it is a portable lantern. So this is the lantern portion, flashlight, and portable power bank. And so supposedly, I can't recall if I got it exactly right, but it does have a 200 lumen, I want to say, lantern, LED lantern, and they have this really nice edge lighting. So they put down this white mesh that goes through there, and it goes all the way to the edge. And when you actually illuminate it, and I don't want to do it now because that would potentially be a factor in our charge time. But it kind of gives off this nice sort of diffuse glow of the light, and you can control if you want it on both sides, or if you just want it on one side, you can illuminate that way. So yeah, that part of the lantern is actually very nice. I really like this whole edge lighting technology that's kind of coming out. And I want to say a 200 or a 250 lumen front flashlight. And it's the same basic features as most LED flashlights now. You can turn it on. I think it starts at like 75% power. If you press and hold, it'll dim, and then it can go back up and go to max output. And you can run both the lantern and the flashlight at the same time. It does have a lock feature here, so you press and hold this button for 1.5 seconds, it'll lock it out. So even though it's not very hard, these are not very high profile buttons, and it's actually kind of hard to push them. It'd be difficult to press them if you had gloved hands or something. The idea of that is so there's no accidental pressing of the button, turning your light on, depleting your power, yada yada yada. You also use that same feature, you press and hold for 1.5 seconds. If you have a device plugged into the USB port here, it will charge that device. And again, you have to essentially lock the light in order to run that. And like I've mentioned probably a dozen times now, it does have a 4,400 milliamp hour battery, so that should be pretty good to charge a cell phone at least a couple of times, right? So I don't remember what the iPhone 6 has in it, but they say on their website it should be capable of charging 2.5 iPhone 6s. Again, this is what we're trying to test and determine if that's actually the case. If the battery does time out for as long as it technically should, it's a good product. It's not the highest quality material. You notice, like, well, you probably won't notice, but I can see there's a little bit of dust inside on the reflectors, so it's kind of cheaply made. It's not a very expensive product. I think you can get it for about $50 nowadays. It's not waterproof or anything, so it's not going to be like a high-end LED flashlight, but it works. It does charge your device to some degree, and I'm just trying to determine if it's actually what they're reporting on their website. So I'll keep you updated. Hopefully this will keep going for another couple hours, and we'll see. All right, thanks. Well, I'm back. It is now a little past 12:05, so it's been approximately 4 hours on our Powerlight, and we're still blinking at the top light. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident in this product. I think in 20-25 minutes we'll be at the point where it should be filling up at the 4,400 milliamp hour thing. It doesn't account for the efficiency loss through heat loss. One thing I was also kind of noticing is it doesn't get too terribly hot when it's charging. So maybe this is just an extremely efficient charging device. I didn't expect that. I mean, it certainly could happen. But part of what makes a device efficient or not when it's charging is how good the wiring is on the inside, how big springs are and things like that. So that can all contribute to it being an extremely efficient device. So if it caps out maybe a little bit after 12:30, I would be pleased with that. I would think that the actual milliamp hourage, the new term that I came up with, is actually dead on. So again, we'll see. Shouldn't be too much longer now, and we should be getting a full charge on this thing. And I'll let you know the final result. Alright, well, we have 4 solid bars, and so I checked the time the second that I saw that it wasn't blinking anymore, and it was 12:34, so it's approximately 4.6 hours, which is more than enough to charge a 4,400 milliamp hour battery. So that's good. I'm pleased, actually. They actually are reporting on their website what's actually in here. So I was a little surprised it was as efficient as it was. 4.6 versus 4.4. I was expecting, even with a conservative 10% efficiency loss, that it would be closer to 4.8 hours. But this works. It clearly isn't blinking. So the battery side is good. The problem I've noticed since charging this and since doing this video, and this kind of reminds me of when I first bought the Powerlight, is I unplugged it. Everything should be working. And if I press the flashlight button, I get a blink, right? And usually that blink means that the light is locked. So if I press and hold the button for 1.5 seconds, I get the blink telling me it should be unlocked. Oh, still blinking. So I think this is the same problem I ran into with the very first Powerlight that I had. I'm sure there's a simple fix to it. I'm just not sure how that is going to be done. So I guess I will probably try to contact Biolight and see if they will fix that for me. And I can press any of the buttons. I can press the lantern button. I get the lock feature. Press and hold the lock button. Still not working. So battery-wise, this thing seems to be working. Now, for some reason, the lighting system isn't working. So I will update everybody if I figure out a solution to what this problem is. Yeah, so otherwise we'll see. So at least in terms of their battery milliamp hourage that they report, this does seem to be spot on. Like I said, I'm a little frustrated now that the lights aren't working. So anyway, so thanks for watching. I'm sorry this is a really long video, and have a good rest of the day.